Hi, welcome to the Linux channel. So, like I said in recent videos, I'm quite busy these days with a client project, and besides my evening time, or sometimes even in the night, I if I handle any classes, the day just rolls by, and this has become almost like my routine. Let it be a weekend or a weekday or anything like that, because sometimes I do share my work. So hence I reduce the frequency of videos, and I thought, if at all, if I take anything, I take any serious topic, so that it is useful for the viewers, and something which I can cover, a niche topic which you may struggle to find in general references or books or something like that. See, today I thought to cover about the network driver various interfaces, kernel to user space interfaces. And see, when you think about network driver, it is not about network packets. Of course, you can get packets to the user space via libpcap, raw sockets, and stuff like that. I get it through TUNTAP or whatever. So there are million ways to do that, but it is not that alone. I have even covered lot of previous episodes. See, I covered about this IOCTL interface, IO control interface, and as well proc, and sometime vaguely I discussed about the sysfs file system in relationship with this Raspberry Pi GPIO pins. See, you can see there I am setting this GPIO pins via sysfs, and since it has this sysfs layer, I am writing my own Raspberry Pi GPIO pin APIs, so that we don't just rely on external libraries. In fact, we can write our own libraries, let it be C, Java, PHP, whatever. So that's my attempt in that recent video. See, this I have done or published around 6 months ago, as you see there. I recommend, if you are curious to watch this, please note this video is nothing to do with Raspberry Pi. This video is nothing to do with any GPIO or I mean it's nothing to do with LED lights you turn on with Raspberry Pi or something. So it is just nothing to do with. It's a video meant to learn the kernel interfaces, and I am giving that example of sysfs file system. But this time I decided I can discuss a bit about network driver interfaces, where any common network drivers use these interfaces. So let's take for example this ifconfig command. Okay, see, if you type this, you get this MAC address, and you get this MTU and various flags. These are various interface flags. Along with that, it's associated IPv4 and IPv6 addresses. So the reason I am saying addresses is sometimes you can have multiple addresses to the same port. Okay, and other than that, you have some metadata like this, this device interrupt, and a few things like this memory, and also this buffer lengths like this TXQ length and stuff like that. And most importantly, you get this statistics as well. So if you recollect, or if you haven't watched, somewhere long back I have covered about this NetTools project. Okay, so NetTools, the Linux channel, you go there, and you should able to find my episode. Okay, you can see there, it's a code walk I have done. This is quite long back. This is around a couple of years ago, or a bit more older than that. Okay, so this is a code walk of NetTools, which is what is the project where you can find this ifconfig. Along with that ifconfig, they do of course provide some more commands which are coming through NetTools. In fact, these days, if you install a new Ubuntu install, if you type ifconfig, it will not work, and it will suggest you to install NetTools. So as a part of NetTools project or ifconfig, if you go to their GitHub source code and this ifconfig.c, inside this. Okay, you can traverse and you will find that ifconfig.c, and yeah, apart from that you can see it has this netstat and other commands, arp and other commands. So this is the source code of ifconfig itself. So if you go to this ifconfig stuff, you should able to find it is using this various IO control API calls to fetch those parameters or set those parameters. So you can see there sysIOC interface flags. So to set those interface flags of that network interface hardware, okay, its corresponding driver, see these are the various flags, it is using that. Okay, so you set this and it is doing the set flag, and it can be any flag you can set there. Say for instance, if you set promiscuous and multicast and stuff like that, so when you type ifconfig and you set any of those flags, this is what it is internally called. So having said, so as you see there, this is one interface, and people who are new to Linux or networking, I mean people are new to Linux or operating system, they think these commands are doing something. Actually it is not. These commands are just a wrapper for you to interact with that kernel modules, and in a way the kernel associated network drivers when it is a thing like this. Okay, because this is a networking features we can set for that hardware or a virtual thing. Okay, it can be a hardware driver or it's a virtual port, and so you have a driver for that virtual port. It doesn't matter whether it is hardware or virtual. User space really don't care and really don't know the difference between which is a hardware and which is a virtual port, because the kernel fools the user space all the time, and that's the reason we have first kernel itself. Okay, so the problem is many learn this operating system, they learn get carried away learning this process and this process FSM and what about this thing, and this memory management and stuff. The problem is you are actually not learning the true essence of why there is an operating system. The whole drama of an operating system is to abstract the intricacies of the system and provide it to the user space, so that user space gets fooled all the time and you get the services whatever you want. Okay, so hence this is where our kernel plays a part, because Linux kernel as well as FreeBSD kernel, these are monolithic kernels. Hence whatever it happens in the kernel space, it happens only in the kernel space. Most of the times as per the system services are considered, it always happens in the kernel space. Hence you get something like this. So you will find like this in this ifconfig source. So besides if you see this what about the stats, how it gets the stats. See, one thing is when it comes to this MTU or this hardware address or whatever, it is getting through these interfaces. So you will get this I can search as HWADDR, and you will find see there is set hardware address. See, this way you can spoof it through ifconfig command, or you can type you can write your own C code, and also you can spoof with your own hardware address. So this is one way it is done, and other than that various other cases it uses that. Okay, see this is about getting this interface index and interface address and stuff. Of course the each interface is a net device instance, hence you will get that interface index. It's like a array. Of course it's not an array, it's a it's a linked list, but each interface has its own index. Okay, hence that interface index is there. Ifconfig doesn't show. I think IP link or something, I'm sorry, IP link or something should show those interface indexes. I'm not sure about this 1 2 3 4. Usually it starts from 0. Okay, if you check the kernel source. Okay, so I am pretty confident it should have index starting from 0. Okay, So this is actually a traversal of that net device data structure, and again that again I have covered extensively. So this is where net device the Linux channel, and again you will find it over here. Okay, so sometime long back I have covered an episode about traversal of that and stuff. Okay, so you can see there it traverses this, and hence we are getting that interface index. So in the episode demo, in fact, I have displayed this output, and you can able to find that interface index. It starts from 0 something. Okay, anyway, if you see the statistics, what I can show you this time is, if you go to this cd proc net and go inside this cat this device, this dev file. So the stats are exposed by the kernel through the proc interface. Okay, so through this you can get, and of course you can parse and get the desired output. So this is how you get proc, you get this network statistics through this proc interface coming from that network drivers subsystem of the Linux kernel. So if you do now again once more this cat dev and if config, mostly both should tally. Okay, see this ENO1 is my Ethernet port. It has this 186.530 RX bytes and it should match this number over here. You can see there 186.529. So since it's going to keep increment as any packets gets exchanged, so you will find it. So again you can see there is a tally for this 242 MB or 242.96 whatever. You can see there it is tallied here, 145 something and it is tallied here, and 127 it is tallied here. So hence we get from this interface which is through proc the kernel is exposing those parameters. So this is a real example of various interfaces of this networking drivers. One is this IOCTL, like we saw in NetTools ifconfig command. The second is this proc itself. The third is the rather strange thing. Okay, this is something I recently discovered. Okay, you can go, let me open another tab. Okay, you can go to this sys class, and inside you can go to this net folder, and you have this instances of each driver. Okay, see there each of these are sort of exposed like links which are pointing towards that drivers and whatever it is corresponding instantiated instances. Okay, so you can see there, but anyway let's not worry about what this exactly is. So we can just use this links itself. Okay, we use these links itself. So we can go to this ENO1, and if you do ls, you will get this you get various files. Again the sysfs is just like proc, it's a RAM mounted file system. I hope in df or somewhere you can able to see. Yeah, you can see there sysfs something. Anyway, it is again a RAM mounted file system. It's a pseudo file system just like proc, and even the kernel uses to expose or to interact to the user space through sysfs as well. Okay, so in that way if you see we have this if index. So cat if index you do, it shows as 2, and we can see the if index of loopback interface. So dot slash we have this yellow if index. Yeah, otherwise I go back and cd loopback cat if index, and you can see there it starts with 1. So I think maybe interface index starts with 1. I am not sure. I still believe sometime in the past seeing it starting with 0. Okay, cat if index. Yeah, this one is 3. This is my USB Ethernet NIC card. Okay, adapter. USB to Ethernet adapter. Okay. So anyway, this is what. Let's go back to this ENO1 CD dot CD ENO1, and you can also see cat carrier and cat operating state. See, this is useful. This you can find whether the interface is up or down, whatever, and cat the speed. You get this network speed of that port which it is connected. Of course, you connected to some 100 Mbps stuff, and it should able to show that corresponding speed. And other than that, it is having this interesting things like of course this MTU is there. You get that MTU here. Some, see, when you do that, when it is exposing this, you find which are read write and which are just read only. See, in the case of MTU, we should able to change the value, so it is a read write. Some are just read only. See, cat, this duplex, yes. So this it shows the link, this thing duplex, or this thing. It's a single side, or duplex actually. So these things you can see over here. Hence this by the way, yeah, this address, hope this is your hardware address, and address length it should show 6, because HW address length or something is there. There is a hash defined in kernel and user space. If Linux or something, you will find it in that. This should correspond that. And other than that, what is this assigned type, address assigned type? This is showing 0. I have no idea what it is. And cat this, cat this. Yeah, some it shows as operation not supported. So maybe I do this sudo. Yeah, still it shows. I have no idea what it is actually. Proto down, cat this txq length, and if you notice this txq length should match this txq length of ifconfig command. Hence, what I am saying is, see, what you are supposed to learn is, the kernel has various interfaces. Like I mentioned heavily in this old IOCTL video series, if you ask me if I write any kernel drivers or modules, if not networking drivers like this, because we need to comply what it is existing. So in the case of networking, so let's ignore that. But in general, if I write any custom kernel modules, usually I expose through just proc interface. Okay, there is a debate, and I am seeing people have their own opinions. See, for instance, I found it in Quora, where someone is asking what can sysfs do that IOCTL can't do. Okay, so this is a comparison between sysfs and IOCTL, or IO control. By the way, some people call that as IOCTL, some call it as IO control, because it is an IO control. Okay, since the API is IOCTL, some call as IOCTL. So he is asking what IO control versus sysfs differences are. You can also find sysfs versus proc, and various combinations. So in this I find something interesting. You can see there someone have answered, IO control is more convenient for write purposes because blah blah blah, whatever it is, it has the data structure and stuff like that. But again, that is his opinion. If you ask me, I like still just a file type access, like I mentioned in that Raspberry Pi GPIO access video, because you can still parse that in the kernel space. You can send if not a JSON, if not an XML, you can send still some sort of a TLV type of a stuff. You can send these tuples, and you can anyway parse in the kernel space. That is how I have done in my stack in Traffic Wizard. Okay, you can still do that. But his opinion is that say even more, he says like, so the rule of thumb is for small read write operations you can expose through sysfs. In the case of heavy data transfer, IO control is the way. But if you ask me, I have used proc for almost for any type of communication. Sometimes even I used to get packets through proc to debug them. Of course, I'm not getting this for writing any network stack. I just get these packets to debug, to bring those packets directly from kernel to user space through proc interface. So I have even done that. Okay, it works actually. So like that you will find various debates and various opinions, but again this all matters if you are completely 100% writing some custom network stack and you want to expose some type of control and debug or any output through this various interfaces. So hence this question is applicable for those type of applications. If you self write your network you self do any kernel module or kernel or kernel driver or some stack, okay, but when it comes to network drivers, as you populate this file operations of network drivers, you are supposed to go with the flow. You are supposed to populate whatever is there most of the times and expose in that regular manner. So it is going to be in compliance with whatever it is expecting. Hence you can't write some network driver and don't add this support of this sysfs or something. So you are supposed to expose so that you get that unified outcome. Okay, say for example like this. So if you do that successfully, your custom driver, eventually you should find an entry here of your network driver and one can do these operations over there, and so it is supported in ifconfig command. If you do any goof up, of course ifconfig or any such commands or ip command, whatever command it is going to goof up there as well. Hence it is important to note that these things expect in this manner. Hence we need to stick with the standards actually. So whatever corresponding IOCTLs are expected, you are supposed to support in your network drivers. Whatever proc thing is there, if there are extensions, you are supposed to support to have that compliance. And same way whatever this sysfs thing also is there, you are supposed to support those things so that it is having that full compliance. But why to go with multiple ways? If you ask, in my type of approach, I just go with proc because it just works. Let it be PHP code you write, like I do most of the times. I don't generally use C when it comes to any type of scripting. I prefer PHP. I don't generally write any bash garbage actually, because that is a very bad looking programming language which I just try to refrain myself getting into dirty bash scripts. Okay, of course I do write some single line commands in bash, that's fine, accepted, but if at all if I need, I stick with PHP. Of course, if you are an expert in Python, you can use Python or whatever language of your choice. But this the advantage you get in proc is you can parse that and you can feed that input in any language of your choice. You can almost take all the way inside a database, like I do most of the times. I use extensively this SQLite 3 or MySQL or things like that. Okay, so you can almost get these parameters and export it to a cloud and things like that, and you can do various things. But when it comes to various other interfaces like IOCTL, it has a very strict programming approach where you match this data structures, you expose this in the user space as well, and define these data structures and give it to the user space so that it is compliant with the kernel space IOCTL and stuff. So it's just cumbersome. I am not a big fan of that, but unfortunately if you write any such this thing, you need to learn and you need to know to be compliant with whatever is existing. But when it comes to this sysfs, it's more or less like a file system thing like proc. So here and there few things changes. See, we can even check like sample sysfs code. Hopefully we should able to find some tutorial or something where someone can give an example. See, I am a person where I feel something is not interesting me. I don't even bother to learn much. Okay, hence sysfs I don't like to use for my personal use. Hence, I never want to even take one stupid YouTube video explaining how you can do with sysfs, interface. Okay, so you can see there, create a directory in sys. It's just like again proc, and you can see there k object create add, and they are adding some file over here, and stuff like that. I also heard that sysfs is a more modern counterpart of proc and stuff. Again, all these things won't change my opinion. I felt I find always proc is extremely reliable. It just works. So I just like to stick with something which I use commonly, and it works always for me. So I don't care what else are the kernel interfaces are. Okay, so you can see there are various examples, and finally he had given an entire exclusive driver code. So of course you can take this as a very good stub example, and then you can use take this and you can use it in your kernel modules or kernel drivers and stuff. So anybody who is very new to I get always this question, I just want to be a driver developer, where to start, what to start. As I always say, first you need to be good in C coding, means writing code, not solving puzzles in C, and writing code, not doing this pointer garbage. Okay, second thing, be an expert in kernel programming, and not kernel driver programming. First learn kernel. Okay, later you can think if it interests you writing driver coding. Okay, so leave the driver garbage. Okay, don't be some idiot learning driver programming from day one actually. So first learn kernel programming. First learn kernel first. Okay, not from books, from the source code. Okay, later you can think after 3 years or 4 years, after you finish all this criteria, maybe you can dream, maybe it's a time to step more deeper towards driver programming. So if you ask, always this is my answer to anyone actually. Okay, because there are several things are there, and this is nothing to do with the drivers. This is all about of course the sys interface, what you get itself is like a driver, because kernel is emulating these files and stuff. But again, this is not strictly like the driver where typically you find this USB drivers, network drivers and stuff. This is more to do with some type of interface where you create. Kernel takes care of various other abstractions and things like that. Of course, I have again extensively discussed about this in a different series like file system, subsystem and stuff. Okay, I don't want to go deeper. Okay, Linux file system, subsystem, the Linux channel. So since my website is quite large, I myself find quite hard to navigate through this. Of course we can navigate this way, but I generally do a Google search and I can find my own pages whichever I want. So here you can see there I have discussed this, and there is also a good wiki picture is there. See this picture is from WikiLink. This is from some WikiLink actually. So you can see there they classified all the pseudo file systems in the pseudo fs, where you can find this proc, sys and all that stuff. So go there and you can explore, and this is what it takes. Hence even this is a driver programming, even this is a driver coding. Okay, whatever that sysfs example they are giving, but it doesn't look like a mundane driver. So learn kernel code itself, what is there, first you learn, later you think about adding some your own garbage to it. Okay, because kernel has already lot of things. So first learn what kernel has, learn about kernel subsystems and the flow and various data structures and stuff. So spend the time at least around a couple of years, not some 3 months I learn and try to find a job. No, it won't happen that way. Okay, maybe somewhere some Indian company may give, but not a serious company will hire you, because as they grill they will find that you are just a newbie, and either you get paid very less, or they don't consider hiring you. So the next video I may do again some interesting topic but this time I'm considering to do some live demo or some code I can write for that episode. When I find some free time, I will try to write some sample code. uh, since I can't take videos much frequently, I'm kind of trying my best to do some quality videos than just adding some yet another video in the channel. Okay, so hope you enjoyed this episode. Be in touch. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye bye.